Hey everybody, in today's video we are going to go over dehydrating, one of my favorite kitchen flavors. It is just a powerhouse of flavor, and it is celery. I have recently been getting super excited about all of these possibilities with food dehydrating that I had not seen up until now. When I originally got our food dehydrator, it was going to be for things that were maybe like more snack oriented or you know, to make jerky and things like that. But I am just like diving deep right now into the world of dehydrating in terms of food preservation, preserving food by dehydrating it. And I am just like super energized about this because for a number of reasons. Number one, we don't have a lot of freezer space right now. Both of our freezers are basically full to the brim. And so I really don't have a whole lot of space to put stuff. And I worry that if I bag things up and I get them in the freezer, I won't find them again for a long time. Now with canning, some of these things that are ready to be harvested aren't the kind of thing that I would can. Like I would not can plain celery. Now, for dehydrate, it solves all my problems because I don't have to put it in my freezer. It's not something I can anyway. It just concentrates this amazing flavor. I'm actually getting a new thing to use in my kitchen altogether. And I usually have some celery salt in my cabinet. However, this is going to be so much more flavorful and versatile. Not only do I not have to put this in my freezer or through the canner, but once I am done processing it, it is going to take up such a tiny amount of space. And if stored properly, the shelf life of it is really up until I would need to harvest again next year, which is all I can ask for. In my experience, whenever I have grown homegrown celery, it is always very bushy. It has way more leaves than the stuff we buy in the store that tends to have a lot of the leaves chopped off. But the leaves are where there is just much more concentrated flavor. So I actually have a lot more leaf than stalk. So I'm actually going to be dehydrating these things separately. The leaves won't take as long. The stalks will take longer because they are more dense, and to get in there and get all of that moisture drawn out takes a little bit longer. First, we're going to go and do all of the leaves, and then we'll go and do the stalks, blend it all together, and we will have our celery powder. I'm not going to add salt or any more seasonings. It's just going to be plain celery flavoring because that's going to give me the most versatility. If I want to try adding salt and making a little celery salt, I'll make a little side sample of that. Okay, we'll stop there and we'll go get our celery picked. I have got the biggest celery this year. I've never had celery this big. This is huge. It's beautiful. That works. So what I'm going to do is actually leave the rest of this here, and I believe in the center will sprout more celery. So I think we do still have a little bit of time left in our growing season, but I wanted to make sure and I get this out and harvested as soon as I can so that I don't miss you know, the good window for it or anything like that. But this will definitely have time to continue to grow more, and I'm excited to see what the base of the celery does. I would have loved to sit outside and do this. However, it just started sprinkling, so I decided to come in here for this. I'm just gonna go ahead and get off all of the leaves. And you have to be kind of careful because some of the ones further up, you think you're at the leaf, but there is just a little bit more toughness left behind from the stalk, so I try not to get that in with the leaves. So we're just going to get all of these leaves plunged into this water. I'm just going to kind of do this for a little bit, and then I'm going to let them sit, do this some more, and then get them in a colander draining. Just want to make sure they're all really nice and clean before we get them in the dehydrator. And even if there's, you know, moisture and droplets and things like that still on them, it is totally fine. The dehydrator will really dry that out very quickly. That's not a concern. All right, we are gonna go ahead and just put these leaves right like this into the dehydrator. Prior to making this video, I did harvest a little bit of celery to experiment with a couple different techniques that I learned about. And I like to put my celery greens right in here after they have been washed and drained. I don't like to blanch my celery greens. I tried blanching some and then doing some this way, and not only do they dry quicker this way, but they actually retain more color and better flavor. When you blanch them, even though it's only for a short amount of time, they darken very quickly. And I just feel like that flavor is just more of a cooked flavor. I mean, they are parboiling, but you're still kind of boiling them. So the flavor does change a little bit. Now, when it comes to the stalks, we will blanch them. It sort of has an opposite effect. If you put the celery stalks directly into your dehydrator, they will start to discolor right away. And it doesn't create a really nice, bright green end result. However, if you blanch them, they brighten up right away, and then they retain that. They retain more of a green color when you blend them up. But you might see people saying you have to do it this way or that way. You know, it does come down to preference and what you like. I'm sure that if you did not blanch celery, that you just put it in the dehydrator, I'm sure that the flavor would probably be fine. I actually haven't tasted it like that though. But the color might be off. And if you don't mind the color being off, then it's an extra step maybe you don't have to take. But for me, it just takes a couple of minutes, and I want to take that extra step. So we are going to let this go at 125 degrees until they are dry and crispy. So we'll go ahead and get these taken out. They are super crisp, super dry. This tray is a little hot. Okay, we got all that celery chopped, and I put it in this bag. I'm gonna wait to blanch it until right before we get it in the dehydrator. So because these leaves don't take super long. I'm guessing later today I'll be able to get these in and probably just let them go overnight. And then they should be ready to dehydrate sometime tomorrow. But for now, I think we're just gonna go in the fridge and wait their turn. Okay, I got all of the leaves out of here. The second round of leaves, got them all ground up, and both round, and it's not even a full cup. It boils down to such a little amount. Again, this is so amazing for stirring. I'm not going to store it in this jar. I don't think I'm going to need near this amount of space, even for the bagged celery, but this is the only clean jar I had, so that's why it's in such a large jar. Now I'm just going to blanch the celery. Okay, we are done with the dehydrating celery project. Now that's all my celery. I did not reserve any. I thought about reserving some for just, making with fresh, but I decided I'm just gonna go ahead and do this all. That's all of my garden celery, almost exclusively, boiled down to about a little over 1 cup of powder. This is incredibly potent, and I'm so excited to use this in recipes. And you can see the stalks made a much lighter color. I did throw in at the end there the jar of experiments from prior to recording this video, where I had the blanched greens, the fresh greens, and there were some dehydrated stalks in there as well. But look at how much brighter green that is, and a lot of that is because of the blanched celery stalks. And just the greens get darker. So I'm gonna just mix this around so it's just one big mixture of the stalks and the greens, and this is just going to be able to season and flavor all different kinds of stuff. And as you can see, it flows really well in the jar, which means that there's just very little moisture in here. It's the perfect sort of flow for really good storage. This is a beautiful end result. I'm super excited to use it. It smells amazing. Thank you for coming along with me as I do this project. I am so enthusiastic about dehydrating, saving space, preserving in a way that's shelf stable, but does not require the canning or taking up the shelf space the way canned goods do. I do have some more dehydrating projects that I am excited to share with you that are coming up. Please let me know in the comments if you do a lot of food preservation through dehydrating. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we will see you soon.